What's going on, everybody? Welcome to IndieQuest, a celebration of the indie and obscure. I'm one of your co-hosts today, Josh, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, and friend, Steve. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic today. Excited to talk about some good indie video games. I have a nice tall cup of chamomile tea, so I'll be bringing the comfy energy. And I'm particularly excited for a reason that will become very clear very soon. But first, Seth is with us too. Seth, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Is chamomile tea one of those that helps you get sleepy? Or is it just like...
In theory, but years and years of coffee consumption have broken my body's ability to react naturally to stimulus, and so I don't get sleepy. I don't get energetic from coffee, so it's just something nice to sip on. Good for the throat. Keeps the tones dulcet.
Just doesn't seem like a very summery drink, is all I was thinking. It's a steamy one.
Yeah, well, I had already the Americano earlier, and we had a nice iced floral tea as well earlier.
There
so
you go.
This is my wind down beverage.
Nice.
I got a can of something called Weird Yerba Mate, and that's literally what it says on the can, and it just has weird flavors. It was acai berry and pomegranate yerba tea. It was pretty good. Yeah, That's what I had this morning.
To me, that doesn't strike me as particularly weird, right? When I think of weird, I think of like Jones Soda, where you can get like Thanksgiving turkey and stuffing flavored sodas, stuff like that.
Well, speaking of something unique and special, we have a guest today. We got Dean from the Video Game Library. How's it going?
It's going, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm actually new to the tea world. I've just started drinking teas in the past couple months or so. I had an Earl Grey ice cream last night, which was fantastic.
Oh, that sounds so good. I'm a little jealous.
It was good. It's expensive, but it was good.
That's worth it very much.
Well, every time we get a new guest, we like to lay the red carpet out. Just tell everybody what you do on the internet, what Video Game Library is, and what you're passionate about.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Dean. I run the videogamelibrary.org. It's a online catalog of all of the video game literature you can think of that have been published over the past 50 years or so. So we're talking biographies and comic books and art books and strategy guides, any written literature to do with video games. And I know that sounds like a little bit of a niche, but it's a growing trend amongst Japanese and North American markets, even more so in Europe lately. And it's just snowballed. I was looking around during COVID at my shelves and had about 500 books and said, surely this is every book imaginable. I have every one on my shelves. And I was so wrong. So we are just passing about 15,000 books right now in 25 different languages from countries around the globe, and got a little bit of a team, and we publish a weekly newsletter, and I'm just really passionate about books and video games and the intersect between them. And I also moonlight as a guest host on the Cartridge Club podcast as well. Just did this last one for June, which was Diddy Kong Racing. So a little bit of a plug there.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. He's being very modest in terms of how incredible the website is. And
I know,
incredibly accurate about how many more books there are than you realize. I went to the website just now, and on the front page immediately, I'm like, oh, there's a book called Show Me the StarCraft to learn military economics and politics through StarCraft. That sounds cool. I would go read that. I would never in my life have known this book existed if it wasn't for you. So you're truly the champ, Dean. You're doing special work.
That. So in the newsletter, funny enough you say that, the special feature for this week is how StarCraft and books are used in South Korea for education. So that book is in there along with 4 or 5 other books that are used for military and language learning and economics and all sorts of things. It is a whole different world over there. So they've published a lot of books about utilizing StarCraft to learn all of these curriculums in universities and beyond. So super interesting world out there.
Dean, did you ever in your wildest dreams think it would get this big?
No, and it happened so fast. I started off and cataloged everything I had, the first 500 books, and got a lot of great reach outs from awesome members of the community. And just there's something for everybody. So the authors of these books and the publishers see it as, free promotion for them. So they're very grateful. But fans of, niche genres or games or creators or topics, game studies is huge. It's getting really, really big in academia. And so, a lot of people are super interested about all of these bizarre books that are coming out. There is one about that just came out about Disco Elysium and the world politics of that. It's about, I think, 600 pages of politics of Disco Elysium. So if that's your jam, there's a book for it. So I did not expect it to get so big, but I also didn't expect it to be so widespread as well. I thought it would be, a bit more niche, but there's something for everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal idea, and I think people might not be aware how much work goes into it. Now, we run in some of the same circles, so I'm a little bit aware, but I know that folks might hear like, oh, it's a, kind of a library, a list of all the books that are out there related to video games, but there's so much more that's being cataloged there. There's like all sorts of stats and information about all these books, ISBN numbers, page counts, authors, everything. It's all this is like tagged and searchable and stuff like that. So I know you have a team of folks helping and volunteers, but I still don't know how you find the time to capture such rigorous data.
It's all about it being fun and something I'm passionate about, so I can find the time. But I think maybe a hint to any listeners out there: there is an indie category that you can select from the drop down, and you can see all the books written about indie games, whether they're compendiums or books that dive into marketing for indie games or how indie games are developed. Some great startup tools for indie developers. So go check that out.
Absolutely
awesome. Oh, well, you can find that at thevideogamelibrary.org. So search that up. Also, I've known Dean for a long time. We've done Cartridge Club, and he's a great guy. So definitely just excited to have you on the show. So
thank you.
My question for you specifically, is the question we ask everybody on the show. The big question: what is your favorite indie game?
So, knee jerk, I want to say Hades. And I was never into roguelites. I just did not care for them. But I was so obsessed with this game when it came out. I watched the documentary, and as soon as the last episode finished, I started watching it again. Blink, I watched your streams of it. Like it really got its hooks in me. So, at the risk of sounding a little cliche, like Hades for me is the game. I recorded a podcast, a Cartridge Club podcast on it as well. Just hooked.
I don't think anyone can blame you for that. That is an excellent pick. It'd certainly be very high on my list too.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't.
Yeah.
It's funny because sometimes you look at indie games that came out recently, and it's weird because Hades, I guess, came out 5 years ago, which just seems crazy. We're all old, right?
Painful.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, how is that really my favorite? Like it feels like it just came out. Like that's how I still think of Hades. But you can't hardly say that about a game like Hades. Like that's just such a revolutionary, amazing experience, and one of the best answers, I think, to the big question so far, in my own opinion. So,
oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I do want to give a special shout out to Ori, Will of the Wisps. I know there's call it indie, call it not, but for me, I'm not a hugely emotional guy when I play through games. Once in a while they'll tug at the heartstrings. To this day, when I watch some parts of that game, I will tear up, bar none. My wife will catch me sobbing in bed, and I'll just be watching like a music video for it. It is it has found a way to just completely cripple me. I don't even remember much of the gameplay, but just some of those emotional, beats of the story. Just, it is a masterful game. So that is a close second.
Our household is the same way. Be watching games done quick or a speedrunning event or something, and somebody will do an Ori speedrun. and my wife will walk out of the room. She'll be like, no. She's like, I love this game to death. It's one of my favorites, but I refuse to watch it. She's like, I'm not just going to skip the parts that I know I should. I can't even watch the rest of the game because it'll just remind me of those parts. And I don't want to go through that again. So it's stuck with her. It's stuck with me. And very emotional. Very good game.
Man, it's hard to follow that up. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about Seth and I were at PolyCon. We could talk a little bit about that. That was fun.
It was.
I got to see you in person.
Yeah, we got to hug.
I got a dad hug from you.
You did. You did. Everybody. It was like everybody. It was funny because I left a little bit early. I'm still a little nasally, so apologies for that. But I had started to get kind of sick towards the end of PolyCon. It's like I got the crud before it was even over, which was a huge bummer. Which makes me think I probably had it prior to the con, I suppose. But so I was leaving on Saturday night, and there was about half the house, or roughly half the house, had gone to a baseball game, and I was just sneaking out. And I feel like it was almost like a queue. Everybody just lined up. Time to give Drachma a hug. And I'm just like, oh, here we go. Like, here we go all the way through, which is great. I love it, obviously.
Yeah.
Josh and I finally got to hug. We got to play some Mount Your Friends for a while. That was a good time.
That was fun. Yeah. I mean, we played it in person and we played the video game too,
right.
You know, so yeah.
He's like, Josh is like, hey, there's actually a video game like this too. I'm like, really? Okay, let's play that. Yeah.
Interesting. That helps. I was doing some detective work on people's profiles today, for something that'll come up later. And I saw that, I think on yours, Josh. And I was like, did I just spoil myself? Is this something he's going to bring later? But now I see what happened there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Josh had gifted.
Was it Mountain Your Friends that you saw? Yeah.
Yeah. Josh.
Yeah, okay.
Josh had gifted. I had my laptop, so Josh gifted it to me. And then we had probably. Have either of you ever played Mount Your Friends? I should ask.
Not the video game, no.
Okay. No. All right. So a little, very minor. You're not bringing Mount Your Friends today, are you, Josh?
No.
Okay.
No, I played something else.
Okay. That would have been a good bring, though. So
yeah, it's like a little party game.
It's a little party game. So just very brief explanation of why it's fun in a large group of buddies, I suppose. You have like these brawny dudes that have a very specific part of their body that swings around as you attempt to move them. You can probably guess which part of their body that is. It happens to be between their legs. That'll probably help. Okay. So,
all right,
you press
their dicks.
You press the face buttons to like move. It's very strange, kind of hard to explain, but each hand and foot has a face button that is attached to it, right? So if I want to move the dude's right hand, it might be the A button. So I have to like press A, so he'll let go of whatever ledge he's on, and then I can like swing him around by like using the joystick. And you can do that by just like, swinging all the limbs and appendages all the way up to where you got to go. The whole point of the game is to get either as high, basically as high as you can, right? So one person starts, they go on top of this random goat, I think, and then the next person goes and tries to go higher than that person, and then so on and so forth. And you are climbing each other like a mountain, each other's characters, I suppose, to get as high as you can. So once you get your one character to a point, you're done. You press start. Now it's the next person's turn. You just pass the controller, and then a few turns later, if depending on what happened, you go again, right? And then you try to get even that little bit higher. So,
you get 60 seconds to do it too.
Yeah.
Little timer.
Yep. So very fun, very funny. We were all laughing, but it was a great time. So.
I'm jealous.
It was a winner. It was just like, let's pick a game that everybody could have some fun with, and that was a nice one to pass the controller around. So, I had a great time. I'll say that going and seeing everybody. Obviously, I like to front that I'm a very like in your face type of guy, but really in person I'm just like the most reserved and chill person you've ever met. So I feel like that was pretty much came across while I was there. So
here's the thing, Josh. You always tell everybody that you're this awkward dude, but you're really not at all. in real life.
Okay,
Like,
I appreciate
you're
that.
just a normal guy, normal quiet guy like the
I
rest
know.
of us, really. You know, so
Yeah, for sure.
We've now successfully, all IndieQuest co-hosts have met each other, but never all three of us at the same time. We've met in every possible combination that isn't all three of us at the same time.
that's true. That's true.
We're gonna have to make that happen next year, hopefully. PolyCon.
I'll be
right?
going next year, for
I feel- okay, I'll be there.
And I'm signing up
at least
Dean.
that's the
Dean,
goal.
you're going too, buddy.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear it.
I'll come, man. I'll be there. We're mountain friends.
that's right. That's right. We'll tantalize you. We'll have some books. You'll come for the books.
Rare books you've never seen before,
Yes.
but you can only see them in person.
Right.
Well, we do a thing here on the IndieQuest where we bring games to our ever-growing list of indie games, our curated list of awesome games that you should check out, called the Quest Log. There are two segments to the Quest Log. The main quest, which is a game that's an easy recommendation. It's an incredible experience. Some people might even call it a masterpiece or a certified banger. And then we got a side quest, which is a game we still recommend. You should put it on your backlog. You should get around to it, but maybe it has a caveat or two. It might be a little bit niche. Maybe it's just specific genre. Like, a good example is recently I brought Skin Deep, which is like an immersive sim game.
Mm-hmm.
If you're into that, go play Skin Deep. That's a good example. But honestly, any game we bring to the show is a recommendation, and you should check it out. So who wants to go first today? We like to save the guest, the sandwich between us. So what one of the main hosts, who wants to go first?
I got a nice quick appetizer if you want me to start, but I saw you open your mouth. If you were planning to be the opening band, I don't want to steal your thunder.
You spoke first, so it's all you, buddy.
Slowpoke. All right. Well, I'll kick us off then here. But I actually have to give props to Seth because I only played this game because of you.
Oh boy.
Although it's not a game that you've played, as far as I know.
Oh.
So
He's bringing Mount Your Friends.
I'm bringing Mount Your Friends, which I played single player. It's not that much fun.
Oh man.
I'm bringing a game today called Froggy's Battle. I don't know if either of you are or any of the three of you are familiar. This is a game developed by Doot, who folks will remember is the same developer that developed Kabuto Park, which Seth brought recently. Froggy's Battle came out in 2023, July 2023, and it's PC only because this developer Doot, they have 3 games now at this point, and they seem to just really be passionate about creating small games, like creating just like little contained packages. You can purchase them for relatively cheap, and they all just kind of have like one cool core idea or a couple cool core ideas that they don't, try to go crazy overboard on. And so being able to push out 3 games, Froggy Battle, Minato Park, or is it Kabuto Park and Minato Lane?
Yeah.
I think
Minami or something.
Minami Lane or something like that.
Minami Lane. Yeah, that's correct.
That's what it is. Those 3 games. But I was looking at Kabuto Park because I was going to play that, and because Seth sold me on it, and then I was like, well, I'm curious what else they made, and I went and looked, and here's Froggy's Battle, which just seemed way too cool to pass up. I'm looking at screenshots.
It is very Kabuto Park in a lot of ways. Like you're going to get into
Art style.
the art style, also cards, and just the statistics. And I had very briefly glanced at it, and I was like, "Oh, looks cool. That's something I'll probably check out at some point." But I'm very happy that you brought it.
Yes. So Froggy's Battle is a circular roguelike where you play as a skateboarding frog. Now, when I say it's a circular roguelike, it is a single screen endeavor. It's just a big circle in the middle of the screen. And you are on a frog that is moving either left or right on a skateboard. And they automatically move in that direction, but you can change the direction at any point. And they're just going around the inside perimeter of the circle. As you go around that circle, enemies will spawn in somewhere in that circle, usually around the edges. And you have an attack that automatically happens on a certain time interval, and you use that attack as well as some other things that we'll get into, in order to defeat those enemies and kind of clear that wave. When you clear a wave, you always get a treasure chest, which you have to go pick up, and then the treasure chest will give you one of 3 cards. The cards are basically how you're going to build out your loadout for a roguelike. Very early, you'll always choose between one of several weapons. So there's a few different weapons, but the like sort of common ones are a sword, which is kind of like your mid-range, relatively fast but not too fast attack. Relatively strong but not crazy strong. You can get a bow. You can get a lance if you want a little bit of extra range. You can get a magic wand to cast fireballs, and there's a couple other ones that are in there too. Depending on which weapon you choose, future waves that you clear, when you open those treasure chests, you will often have the ability to choose either upgrades to stats that correspond to those weapons, or kind of like buffs to those weapons. So you might get something that just says straight up strength +1, and the sword is a strength-based weapon, so now you just do more damage with the sword, or agility +1, and now your bow does more damage. Or you might have the option to kind of enhance it in other ways. So you might get an upgrade, or one of your choices for upgrade might be something like fire. You have a 50% chance on every shot you fire to fire a second arrow at the same time. And that is on top of the other damage buffs that you already have. And then on very rare occasions, which is actually not that rare, you will also unlock kind of rare cards, which are basically buffs coupled with stats. So it might be like, oh, that same arrow card that fires an arrow 50% of the time also will give you an agility at +1. And so you're kind of getting a 2-for-1 deal there. And then there's other cards that you can get in addition to that will like increase your max HP and or heal your max HP, and do some other silly stuff like, occasionally throw like a bowling ball behind the frog, something like that.
I gotta know quick.
Yeah.
While you're talking about the stats, is SKT the skate stat?
Yes.
Amazing.
That's a perfect transition. So there are 5 total stats. There's 3 that are kind of damage based: strength, magic, and agility. Those correspond to, if you've played any RPG, you can kind of guess what weapons align to what stats. There is luck, which increases the chance for those rare cards in between waves, but then also increases your critical, definitely your critical percentage chance. I think it also does your critical damage too. And then your last ability, your last stat, is skate. And that is tied to your skateboard. It does 2 things for you. One, it will increase the speed at which you move around that perimeter. And then 2, your last attack that you have that is an upgrade you choose early in every run is a special skateboard trick that also does damage to enemies. So you might get like a kick flip that when you jump, you automatically kick flip and you go and like do little ticks of damage as you go through them. Or you might get like a backflip or something like that. And on rare occasions, there's even the ones that'll like launch you to the opposite side of the sphere that you're on, things like that. And there are enemies that are positioned more or less conveniently depending on what weapon and what skateboard trick you've chosen. So you're kind of setting yourself up to do well in certain waves and maybe struggle more with other waves. And there's not really always, like a clean way to make the perfect build. You have to make compromises and choices as you go along. It is a very fast-paced game. Waves are like maybe 20 to 30 seconds. And there's only like a run is, I think, maybe like 15 to 20 waves. It's like there's 3 bosses and then a final boss. It is such a fast, snappy game. I pitched it up front as a very small game. Such a fast, snappy game. There's literally an achievement for beating a run in under 5 minutes.
Wow.
Like that is how quickly this can be done. If you know what choices you want to make and you're being really like efficient with your kills, and because the treasure chest always spawns at the bottom, you're like considering that added element of trying to finish near the bottom of the screen so there's not all that motion to go to the bottom afterwards, you can really get cooking quite quickly. And then on top of that, the boss fights are sometimes feature waves of enemies, but usually they're unique, like combatants and things like that, which I thought was a lot of fun. And they get progressively more difficult, but I will say now, the game never gets tough initially. I think that this is designed to be relatively breezy. I mean, you're playing as a frog on a skateboard. It's designed to be lighthearted. I will say, though, when you beat the game for the first time, you'll unlock a hard mode, and it kicked my ass.
Really?
I could not get through this hard mode. I tried for a while, and I was like, man, I got close a couple of times, but I was never able to seal the deal. Whereas the regular, kind of the normal mode, my very first run, I didn't beat it, but I got up to the last boss in my first run, and very quickly was able to beat a run after that. So I think they wanted it to feel breezy and kind of fun and relaxing. And then if you're like someone that wants to punish themselves or like really have a difficult roguelike experience, hard mode is where you'll go for that. All the damage is ramped up. Enemies spawn like 4 times as much. There's just all sorts of ramping difficulties in that mode.
So when you're on, say, wave 15 or wave 20 or however, like what's happening? Like how are there things just like flying all over the screen? Do you have like a ton of power-ups, or is it just really your stats are better than they were in the first couple waves?
It's a lot of all of those things at once. So, let's take a late game wave. By then, you've probably built out your loadout quite a bit. So it's not uncommon for you to have an ability to attack in front of you, attack behind you, and probably a couple of different like proc things. Like, maybe when I do a critical hit, I also throw a fireball directly above me to the opposite end of the sphere. And then in terms of what's happening on the enemy side with the waves, this is actually an interesting part of the combat that is like getting a little more into the nitty-gritties is the enemies seem to spawn in a wave either at certain time intervals or in certain orders. So like they'll spawn 2 or 3 of this type of enemy, and then they'll spawn 2 more of this flying type of enemy, and then 1 of this stronger type of enemy. And so you're rewarded in that regard for being efficient in the enemies that you're taking down, because the faster you kill kind of the early enemies, the fewer enemies you're going to have to deal with as the wave goes on. Sometimes, though, maybe you have a build that's dependent on crits or something. You don't get the crits that you need. Enemies last a little bit longer, and it can pretty quickly get to the point, especially on hard mode, where there's like 12 enemies on screen. You're like jumping and skateboarding back and forth, ducking and weaving, just trying desperately to avoid taking damage. There is a dodge roll that you can use to like escape some damage in a pinch. And it can get almost kind of bullet helly in that regard, especially as you get to the point where like, there's enemies that will roll around the perimeter. There's enemies that will do kind of like a sine wave sort of motion. And when you get to 5 or 6 of those and your brain is trying to like calculate like orbital trajectories on all these different enemies at the same time, it's very easy to fall on your face and just collapse. So, I mean, it doesn't get like, it's never going to be a Vampire Survivor type of like screen full of bullets, but it definitely gets like much more frantic as the runs go on.
Nice.
Do you have like the capability of deciding when your character uses its abilities, or is it just as soon as they go off cooldown, you have to like time it out? Because I see you have like cooldowns. Like, are you clicking on those abilities when you want them to be used?
Nope. So think of them all as like auto attacks.
Okay.
There are some that are triggered by actions. So like maybe you get an upgrade that will do X thing when you jump or when you dodge or when you defeat an enemy. But in terms of like your actual attacks, like your magic damage, your physical attacks, stuff like that, that's all just happening the second those cooldowns come up. So there's like a little bit of like a timing, and you learn the rhythm very quickly, that you learn like, oh, I'm going to attack like every second or so I know when I need to move in and move out. If you're using like a stronger, slower weapon, you get used to kind of the rhythm of making sure you're in the right spot at the right time, do a big chunk of damage, and then back away. Or you're using something faster that's just like a knife or something. It's just you're just always kind of doing tick damage the entire go.
So you're other than choosing whether you go left or right, you are very much whatever you have built into, that's what's going to happen. So I can see that you obviously have the cooldown timers on screen, but to your point, I assume it's almost like you have a timer in your head, after a little while, right? Where you're just knowing, you're almost counting to yourself and figuring out exactly when you need to go where.
Yep. It becomes intuition, or you learn, like, you kind of learn how to avoid enemies in a way that will let you damage them strategically without needing to focus so much on the cooldown. So, for example, those enemies that I said that roll around the perimeter of the circle, you might jump over them and then follow, kind of like skitch behind them as they're rolling around. So they're continuing their roll, and you're just kind of chasing behind them, hitting them with the sword as they go, doing a bunch of damage that way. And some enemies are more or less react. Some are kind of have that like bull charging, where once they've started, they keep going in that direction, and others are a little more back and forth. So it's just about learning the enemies and their patterns and things like that. But it all, it's maybe a little bit strange to describe, but it is incredibly effortless to learn. It is immediately intuitive. It's very quick to pick it up. Runs do feel relatively different, which is cool considering the relatively small scope of the game. And it's just a pleasant game. I imagine this was an appeal to you for Kabuto Park too, but like all the little details in the game are just nice. Like the font and the little pops when you do a crit, the look of the enemies, how cute they all are. This like simple flat color sort of visual style, but it has like little details, and the backgrounds are just like kind of pulsing a little bit as you play. It's got this really pleasant chiptune soundtrack with only a couple songs really on the soundtrack, but some of them are freaking bangers, man. Especially the boss music is like pulled straight out of like half JRPG, half shoot 'em up. It's ridiculously catchy.
Awesome.
It's just so fun. So it's just like you could watch a trailer, go onto Steam, look up Froggy's Battle, and like immediately you will know, could I have fun with this game? And I think the answer for most people is going to be yes. You'll have at least a couple hours of fun with this game. It's just a very, very chill experience, and it's dirt cheap too. I forget, I've purchased it, but I think it's like $2.
It's like $2, yeah. It reminds me of like a lot of those auto battler games. Like, I mean, when I brought to the show Snake or X, it gives me a little bit of that, but a little bit less complicated. But the one it reminds me of the most, since it's kind of like in a small screen, and then you have like a set play space, is Brotato. So if someone's into Brotato, I feel like they would get a lot out of this, because it's same idea. You get your build. I mean, this even seems a little bit even more simple than that, which is not a bad thing when you want something to pick up and play. But you get your build, and you just kind of like run with it, and then you just learn what each of these little cards do. This is right up my alley. I could see myself late night Steam decking this one
for sure. Yes, I mean, the Kabuto Park aesthetic, if you love it, which you got to be like some sort of weird, heartless person to not enjoy that like Crayola come to life look. It's just so good. But yeah, it's just the type of game that when you're even looking at screenshots, you just can't help but smile. Like it's a very cool looking game.
Yes, very pleasant.
Is there like an overarching sort of collectible or compendium, or is there something you're unlocking as you're going through these quick runs, or is it just sort of time trial incentive? What's keeping you going back?
It's mostly time trial incentive. There's not too much in the way of like progression as you go, other than hard mode, and I think there might be a couple of frogs you unlock as you go along. But I think that mostly they design the achievements to be kind of that long-term incentive, because like I said, there are achievements for beating both the normal and the hard mode very quickly, and they show you your kind of like time at the end of a run. So I think they are positioning time as sort of like the stat to chase. But then there's also some fun achievements around like getting ridiculously large crits and stuff like that. So they seem to want you to try to also experiment and do like, maybe try more of a glass cannon build and stuff like that. But there's not like a long meta progression. There's no currency to unlock, things in the mirror of the night like in Hades or something like that. It's designed much more to just be a pick up chill vibe kind of experience. Yeah. Which I think for some people, they might think, oh, that's a little slight, and other people might be like, oh, refreshing to have a game that just wants me to have a couple hours of fun and then, sets me free or invites me back if they want to. So
yeah, I mean, to your point about the dev making games specifically like this,
I haven't yet.
Like they set out to nail that, right? I'm going to give you a short game that you're going to enjoy for 3 to 4 hours, and you're welcome. shake hands, let's go. Like, I'm all about it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So, given that, any other questions before I place this one on the quest log?
I don't think so.
Nothing? I struggled with this one big time. Big time, because I think I went through the same journey that Seth probably did with Kabuto Park there, where you have I feel like I have this internal bias to say it's a short game, it's a quick, cheap, short game, side quest. Main quest is for the big boys, side quest is for the cheap ones. But I sit down and I talk to myself and I'm like, what else do I want this game to do?
Right.
There isn't much. Like, it is achieving its vision. Sure, I would love more build variety and stuff like that, but the vision of this game is aimed at small scope, like quick development, get the fun out the door and let you have it right away. And so in that way, I had to put it on a main quest because it truly is a game for everybody.
Awesome.
And it is fun the entire time you're playing it. And it's like a no-notes situation. It's truly just they offer you like a really nice little light meal and they say, enjoy. I made you a couple of fluffy croissants, put them in your belly. Here's the game.
Now, Josh.
That's awesome. It makes me want to play like the Minami
Yes,
Lane
nice.
game. Like,
I
make
know.
it a threefer,
Yep,
that's
do
what
the
we need to
trifecta.
do, right?
That's
At
what I was
this
going to
point.
say, yes.
Yeah.
Like, dude, are you out there? You're crushing it by the IndieQuest standard. I'm loving what you're doing.
And the thing is about, creating this bite-sized experience and not having like this. I mean, I am happy to hear that Froggy's Battle has a hard mode. Like Kabuto Park didn't really do that other than you can battle everybody at level 20 and everything like I explained. But, they go a little bit above and beyond. But I'm kind of okay with giving me these bite-sized experiences if they're going to just keep releasing these small bangers. Like, fine. Like, you don't need to spend more time on it. Chug along and push these games out that are amazing and then move on to the next one and make another one, right? Rather than spend an extra year developing extra stuff onto the end of these games. Like, just give me more games. I love it.
Absolutely. And I think that they are going to, I believe it was on Blue Sky, but somewhere I'm pretty sure it was this developer. I'm pretty sure I saw Doot published some point recently like an article that basically said like, here's why making small games is the right way to go. Like, both I think economically and in terms of like life balance and stuff like that, they seem pretty passionate about pump out a lot of small fun projects, move on to the next thing and keep going. So I do think that Dude is a developer to follow because I think we are going to continue to get more of these, probably, one a year or something like that, which is awesome.
I think it is specifically Doot and Zaku, like the Gundam, because I think Doot is the husband and Zaku is the wife in this pair, and they work on all these games together, which is very cool. Yes.
Yeah, really, really cool. So yeah, Froggy's Battle, if you want just literally 30 minutes of fun, you really can't go wrong. Hard to do better.
Sick.
Awesome. So who wants to go next? Do you want to let roll the carpet out for Dean, or do you want one of us to go? What are you guys feeling?
Up to Dean. I can go, or Dean can go.
Okay.
Let's. I'll take this one, and then I'll pass it over to you.
Cool.
So it would have been the late 90s. My family
Shantae's
finally
coming.
got satellite TV, which I don't know if you guys remember that era, but for me, that was like we got access to the American networks. My mom and I got hooked on one network in particular. It was the Food Network, and one show in particular. It was Iron Chef.
Yeah.
It was the original Iron Chef, the 90s sort of Japanese one. So fast forward, 25 years or so, a couple years ago, I played an indie game on my Switch, which brought me right back to that time. And that game is Battle Chef Brigade.
Awesome.
This is
awesome choice.
A sort of match 3 puzzler, but it's got a whole lot of other elements to it. It's got hack and slash. It's got a really, really cool story. It's got in-game economy and currency. Just a really sort of robust and well-made game. It does all of those things really, really well. It's made by Trinket Studios, which I think was 3 people at the time, maybe still is. I know they got a new game coming out here. Great Suit Aces or something like that. But have you guys played this one? Have you guys played Battle Chef Brigade?
I haven't. I feel guilty to admit that it's been sitting on my shelf for years, just waiting for me to get around to it.
We were talking pre-recording about our guests bringing games that we might not ever get to, and this might have been one of them. So good job, Dean.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. I didn't know anything about this game. I had sort of one of the limited run physical edition versions. And so if you think about sort of this fantasy setting, you got your humans and your orcs and your elves and your dwarves. They're all sort of living in harmony in these big cities. But, centuries ago, monsters just sort of decimated the land. They killed all the animals and on all the fauna, flora, all that stuff. People were just dying. They were starving. And then there was these warriors that sort of emerged and learned how to defeat these monsters and cook them into like really delicious dishes. And these warriors became like the idols of the world, right? They were the saviors. They were the battle chefs and just idolized. So, the entire world revolves around the idea of these saviors and people learning how to cook. So you play as this young woman named Mina, who's on a quest to join the Battle Chef Brigade, which is like the elite core of these warriors. And it's just a really well done, well fleshed out story. The gameplay loop is pretty cool. It's very similar to Iron Chef. If you've seen the show, you have a chairman who is straight out of the show. Like he's got a cape. He takes like a bite of an apple. He's
love that.
Super verbal. Like it is like right out of the show. But he essentially picks your secret ingredient, right? And so maybe it's like meat from the Barun beast, or it's like, the rare nectar of the Kuranya plant. So he gives you this secret ingredient. That's what needs to be prominently featured in your dish in these battles. And then you're competing against these other world-renowned chefs to sort of raise the ranks. And so once the timer starts, rather than, in Iron Chef, you run to the pantry or the fridge, you actually just run out of the Colosseum into the wilderness. And you start like fighting beasts in the woods. You start like, as you kill these beasts and the deeper you go, the harder the beasts get, they drop ingredients for your dishes. So you have to be a little strategic about how you do it. But it is a full-fledged combat system with like combos. You can slash, you can dodge, you can parry, you can jump. You have like projectiles, you have magic spells, you have loadouts. Like it is a super, super fun system. And then you have to decide, like, do I stay close to the Colosseum and defeat a lot of the easier enemies and just like stock up a bunch of easy ingredients and rather than spending a lot of time on the hunting, spend a lot of time with my technique and the cooking of these ingredients? Or do I go deeper into the woods and defeat some of these harder monsters, these rarer monsters? Because you have health, you have a satchel with limited capacity. So it all sort of plays into that strategy. So when you defeat a monster like one of these Kuranya plants, maybe it drops that nectar, or maybe it drops a leaf or a seed or a wing, right? So you got to decide: do I risk it, or do I just go for some of the easier recipes? You can also like feed the plant a different meat, and then sort of like in Pokemon Snap, where you like do stuff with the Pokemon, and then they change their form or they do something cool. If they start to do something cool, then you can get different ingredients there as well. So anyway, once your satchel's full, you sprint back to the Colosseum, you load up your little pantry with all those ingredients, and then you can choose. I'm going to keep going out, or I'm going to start cooking. And you can do that as many times as you want. You have like a 5-minute or a 10-minute timer. But when you start to cook, when you're happy with all your ingredients, you have these sort of stations, like a left side, a center, and a right side. And each of those stations is a cooking area. And those cooking areas have sort of a grid. If you think like Diablo inventory squares or like any sort of match 3 puzzler, and you drop the ingredients in the pot, and as you drop them, they drop onto this grid of 16, and you can stir the pot, meaning you rotate the grid, and you're trying to match up all the flavors.
There you go.
And as you match up the flavors merge, the 3 merge into 1, and you get a more powerful version of that flavor. And then if you match up 3 more powerful versions, you get an even more, but it's sort of like tiered like that. And each of the judges has a flavor preference. Maybe the judge really likes earthy flavors. So you're out there in the woods trying to find ingredients that really represent earthy flavors while still using the secret ingredient of the nectar, which maybe doesn't have a lot of earth in it, right? So you fill up these 16 orb slots in each of your cooking, and you continue to merge them and power them up as much as you can. And then once you do, you sort of deliver it to the judge. They eat it. They compare it against the competitor, and the highest score obviously wins, right? You just go for high score. Now later on in the game, some ingredients have bones in them, so you don't want to serve a dish with bones still inside. So you have to break the bones down while you're cooking. Sometimes you have like sauces, so you can say you're only finding like blue orbs, but you need green orbs. You can put some green sauce on there, and it'll change the color of the orbs. You can put spices in there. Sometimes the enemy is infected, so it's got poison inside. So you either have to like equip a cutting board and chop off the poison out of the ingredient cube, or you put the poison in your dish, and if you match 3 poisons together, it gets rid of them.
My favorite thing about watching like a shonen anime
mechanics that
is
the game just continues
competitive
to throw at you. And I think if you look at some screenshots of the game,
everyone's competing, everyone's in the same room doing their thing. So I feel like centering something on something like that, especially
sort of like a
really
Persona style.
For one, and also one thing I was just what I was looking at.
You can choose how
I'm surprised this came out in 2017. That feels like it just came out not that long ago. I feel like this is like an indie game that came out just like a handful of years ago.
Like these special,
I guess that's just showing my
puzzles. So there's like
my question for you,
cubes that you have to
not even related to anything else. Those are just random comments.
Puzzle, you get some
is how's the music? Does it really match the tone of everything else, like the hack slash nature and the match 3 and all this stuff? Kind of have like a really good soundtrack that goes along
and you
with
get
it.
some money, and with all that money, you buy more loadouts. You buy equipment, better daggers, double jump technique. You can buy new pots that have special attributes that you only need to line up 2 of a color instead of 3, or a pressure cooker that while you're out hunting, it's slowly like increasing the tiers of the ingredients. So it's a lot of mechanics, but it throws it at you in a very, very digestible way. And it's really, really cool. So they do the cooking really good. They do the combat really good. And then throughout, it's all like super well voice acted with like really good voice actors that do anime and a ton of other games. There's, it's like a really nice sort of storybook style artwork with sort of those broken lines and watercolor paintings. It's a little flashy at times, might feel like a Flash game, but ultimately you can tell it's a defined tone by choice and not by necessity. So it's just a really, really well-made game.
Can I just say, I think every episode of IndieQuest, I find a new reason to love indie games. And
it was
this
part of that batch of games last year that
perfect one.
They were going to delist.
There is zero chance
developers
that any
ended up
AAA
buying the
game
rights to their own game.
would
Basically,
combine
I think
these
it was
genres
this and like
into a game
Westerado,
and have like the
a couple games
overarching
like that
theme
were
be
part
what
of that
this is.
last year.
And this is why
at least they got the
love
rights
indie games.
to
That's
their
all
own
I
game,
could think about
right?
for the last 10 minutes
always
while you were
weird when
talking
that
about
happens.
this game. Like, it is just, come on, this is just so cool. Like, I just love it.
It really is. It's such a cool, like, yeah, it wears its influence on its sleeve, but it does it in such a fun way.
I mean, it is clearly doing it with such reverence that it's not like it's just copying Iron Chef. Like, you can tell the love and appreciation they have for that. I am curious, are you, when you're like going out and doing those fights to get monster ingredients and meat and parts, are you competing with the other contestants for the same materials? So like, will the other opponents be fighting the same monsters you would and you have to beat them to it, or no?
So you run out of 2 different exits of the Colosseum. They're on the right side and you're on the left side. So you never actually see them. You can't actually see what they're working on either. But you know, just based on their reputation in the land, that, you know, they really like to focus on this type of ingredient, or they're really going to come at the judges with this type of dish. So you got to sort of counter that idea when you're out hunting and strategizing.
That makes a lot of sense. And it looks like they have local multiplayer, so you can play against your friends in this competition. Have you ever done that?
I haven't played local multiplayer, but what it looked like to me when I was going through it is that one person can be out hunting while the other one's cooking.
Oh.
And so they can be sort of delivering you some sort of key ingredients that are way deep, that are going to take a lot of time to get out there.
Wow.
And meanwhile, you're just mastering the technique at your kitchen.
That could be a lot of fun.
That could be a lot of fun. That sounds
Awesome.
like fun.
I like the
potential
restraint
Polycon
of bringing
game
a
right
side
there.
quest
That's all I'm
to
saying.
your.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Because a lot
This
of
is the
people
perfect
are
type
like,
of
oh,
game to,
I'm going to
like,
bring like the
throw
biggest game I've ever
at an
played
unsuspecting
because
crowd
put
of
it on the
people. They're
main
like, all right,
quest.
we're playing
So.
some Battle Chef Brigade.
Yes.
You know, an hour or 2 into it, everyone will be so addicted to it that they'll all be
switching off.
super invested.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Wow. That seems really cool. And you said the story, do you find the characters to be compelling and interesting? Were you there more
Super
mechanically or
endearing.
more narratively, I should ask?
Narratively, like it
Awesome.
like I have empathy and I felt some emotional weight to all of the conversations just because of how well the voiceovers delivered. It's sort of a coming of age story, but it's got just really cool characters with real problems, and they're all sort of dealing with that amidst this sort of cheesy overarching storyline of trying to be the world's best chef. But yeah, you're always in the same village, and you really get to know these people and their families, and it's not linear in the sense that
I know a lot of people
you're
disagree
always
with that
going to
one.
be battling against the same chefs. You get to choose who you battle on that given day, for example. So if you're really liking the story arc of one character, you can choose to battle them first, and then you sort of progress from there. And the judges you get to know, you're like, oh shit, that judge again. Like, that one's such an ass. So you sort of like learn the characteristics of all these people and just build that into your strategy as well.
Awesome. I love that.
Awesome.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, the soundtrack is awesome. I caught myself a couple times listening to it outside of the game as well. You got those sort of like regal fanfare tunes of like, high fantasy storylines, and you have those like Colosseum sort of battle themes, but also mixed in with just like the campy like reality TV show music as well. It's great. I love it.
Awesome. This is
actually that's the biggest part of the credits when you're watching the end of the game. It's like it's the 3 people who worked on it, and then there's like 12 people in the band. It's like, oh wow, it's 4 times the size of the team.
I always wonder how a small dev team like that, like they obviously have connections. They can just reach out, and they got a friend who knows a friend who knows a friend, that they can get all these people to work on their game, which is so awesome and shows the community, I suppose, of the indie scene. So
it's published by Adult Swim, games. So it's not like tied into an IP or anything, but I don't know if they had some,
Yeah, some push.
some connections or something.
That's cool. Oh, wow. For sure. Yes. Okay.
I will say, before you put it on the quest log, their new game looks awesome too. I'm looking at this Battlesuit Aces, this card fighter.
Yeah, it's like a card battler RPG. Yeah.
I am here for this. Give me a release date, please.
And the characters and everything look exactly the same, so I'm sure it's the same team. It's the same three people. So yeah, so I was thinking, like, where does this belong? This is not profoundly going to change you or the people who play this. It is a ton of fun, and I think what it does really, really well. I was looking at some of the other games on the main quest list, and each of those games that I played really resonated with me and left like a lasting impression beyond just a video game. Mm-hmm. And so I sort of said, well, this one could probably stand to be a side quest, but high on that list to at least try for, the first chapter. Because if that first chapter entertains you, you are in for an awesome ride for the next 6. It throws great mechanics right up until the end of the game. It stays fresh. It's about an 8-hour run, so it's not going to take up too much of your time. And I think, while not profound, it'll be a memorable experience that hopefully you'll be talking about, 8 years after it came out.
Heck yeah.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. I think that only now Dean and Briz, as far as I can recollect, are the only ones that have ever brought a side quest game, which that is, you're a strong person to do that. And come on to a podcast, but you know what? This is a great game and I love it, but it's a side quest. That's kind of awesome.
Right.
And I've said it before, but for the right person, a lot of times a side quest can end up being one of their all-time favorite games because, sometimes that little difference that brought it to the side quest over the main quest might be something that you really appreciate, or it might just be, it might be side quested because it's tailored to a specific audience, and that audience might be squarely you. And so, look at the side quest too, people. All right, there's 2 lists for a reason, and they're both good.
And
yeah, I mean, Bastion is on the side quest, and I adore that game. So,
maybe some on this very podcast. I don't know who's to say.
Poor Seth, overruled on every single Supergiant game
Seriously,
we ever talk about.
I'm feeling so bad about that. But Dean and I think prior to you two coming on today, we're discussing the fact that we had, going into this show, 99 games on the side quest. So Dean brought the 100th. Very cool. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Special. Thank you.
Yes. All right. I suppose moving on. I will talk about my game now, if you guys like. I also, and Dean was probably coming on thinking, man, I'm going to bring a game from 2017. There's no way they're going to bring a game older than me. Turns out, there is a way, because I just did. And I'm bringing a game that is not only older, but much older than the game that Dean brought.
So it's on the Game Boy Color. Stars a female pirate.
Not just yet. That's future. Soon enough. When I feel I cannot officially be kicked off this podcast, I will bring that game. But for now, I am bringing a game that I think that I had heard about at some point, but it is very much overshadowed by another specific game, and then honestly another few specific games by this developer. It is Tales from Space Mutant Blobs Attack. Steve's nodding his head. You guys all, I'm assuming you've all heard of and or seen this game at some point.
Yeah.
Yes, I have played this game.
Okay, cool. So, this game released February 21st, 2012. It was a Vita launch title, so that's how far back we're going. Developed by the one and only Drinkbox Studios. Obviously famous for also doing Guacamelee and many other games that have been discussed here, and then coming out with that new specific game that we're all interested in, and now for some reason I cannot remember the name of, but go back to a couple episodes ago. Blighted, perfect. Blighted. And it was on, I would say, it's usually for platform, I'll put everything, if it's on everything, current. But for this one, I put everything 2 gens ago. So, like, it came out in 2012. And for whatever reason, it seems like it would be a game that should be, somewhat up to date and put on more recent systems. But it's on, like, PS3 and Xbox 360 and obviously Vita. But if you want to play it on a system that is somewhat current, I suppose, even though it's not exactly perfectly current, it was ported to the Switch at some point. And I actually played it on the PS5 through like the stream function or whatever. I don't know. Because I have PlayStation Plus Premium, I think, is why I was able to do it. So I played it for free. It like gives you like a PS3 interface on the PS5, which is super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. Overview of this game. It is a 2D puzzle platformer eat 'em up. Not beat 'em up. Eat 'em up. Because, as I'll explain, you eat a lot of stuff as you're playing this game. Presentation gives me that Saturday morning cartoon vibe. Honestly, it's going to be hard for me not to constantly compare it to Guacamelee because it looks a lot like Guacamelee. Drinkbox has a style. It's very cartoony.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that some of their other games, Blighted specifically, is going to look different than the typical, prototypical Drinkbox. But it gives me that Guacamelee. Flat colors, 2D. Even the cutscenes are very Guacamelee, very memey, very like there's these like news reporters that are like talking in gibberish because it doesn't really matter what they say, but that's kind of what's going on in these cutscenes. Which kind of leads me right into story. This doesn't really have a story. I mean, other than you have a bunch of alien blobs that are in captivity, were captured once they got to Earth or whatever, something like that. The people took them, and then they escaped. And because they're alien blobs, you specifically are one spiky green alien blob, and you are going through and basically kind of just destroying the planet. It's one of the few games I feel in any time where you can actually actively play what I would consider to be an antagonist, at least an antagonist to, like, if we were the people on this planet, we would not be the blob, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So the blob's the bad guy in that instance. So kind of cool in that way, but the story is not at all important. It's a puzzle platformer. You're playing the game, and the story's kind of in the background. The music, again, very Saturday morning cartoon, very Drinkbox. It is just fun, upbeat music for the most part. It does get pretty eerie at times, and I would call it spacey, as in outer spacey, that like synth up and down note, the wee, like that, that very gives you that intergalactic feel, right? Mm-hmm. But kind of spooky at the same time. That's much of what the music's doing. I don't know that I would listen to this music a whole lot outside of the game. I don't know that I would seek it out, but still good and perfectly serviceable within the game that you're playing. I think that takes everything through to the point where we're going to talk about what you're doing in this game. Any questions before I get there?
None so far.
Perfect. All right, so gameplay. As I explained, it is an eat 'em up, which is kind of just a funny term that I came up with going into this. And to me, it is kind of the Katamari Damacy thing, right? That is what you're doing in this game. It's not as fun to look at as Katamari Damacy, because in Katamari Damacy, everything that you roll over is in your giant ball. In this, all you do is kind of go, like, move over top of the items that you're picking up. So at the very beginning of the game, you're a very, very small blob, and you can, like, eat popcorn kernels in this college dorm and things like that, right? Like very small coins and stuff like that. Like that's all you're really eating. But then by the time you're at late game, everything that you eat makes you bigger. So late game, you are eating tanks, you're eating helicopters, you're eventually eating buildings and things like that, right? Very Katamari Damacy coded in that way. I assume that Katamari Damacy was also some inspiration for where this game is going. But it isn't only that. Like, that's only one part of this game. The puzzle platforming is another, I would say, huge part of this game. So that's kind of what we'll get into now. Puzzle platforming, you can do like wall jumps. Your jumps in general are quite floaty. You're just this piece of jello, basically. So you're kind of like blobbing around, as it would seem, right? You are a blob. And so a lot of like the platforming itself feels a little weird. Like if you jump onto a platform, because you got no bones, you're kind of like half slipping off said platform. You're like falling down a little bit, and you can like jump again to actually get up there. So they do a good job in that way. It isn't that it feels bad or anything. It's just different than what you're used to feeling in most platforms you've played.
Yeah. And I know I have a bad habit of comparing a game to maybe an even more obscure game, but the platforming is very similar to Loco Roco on the PSP. If anybody's ever played that, you kind of like squish and transform against walls. Occasionally you'll be like wedged into tight spaces or like pushed between like moving gears and things like that, and your character will kind of distort and move around. I feel like that is the other inspiration that they were taking, is they were basically like, what if we did that plus Katamari?
Yes, that makes sense. So other things that you're actually doing in the platforming, there are like magnetic objects, and for whatever reason, your blob is magnetic, right? So you can do the trigger buttons basically or the shoulder buttons. You can like suck yourself to different objects, or you can propel yourself away from them. So they do fun puzzles in those ways when you're trying to like scale upward. There's obviously dangerous spikes and stuff. You do have a health bar, so you got to like avoid the spikes. So sometimes there's magnets in fun places where you're kind of like hovering. You're making yourself hover as you go, and you're avoiding the damage. Now, one cool thing I would say, I don't think this game is attempting to be difficult at all. Like, it's not trying to beat you up. So whenever you do die, very often you start basically where you died or very shortly before that. I never experienced oh man, I got to do that whole section over again. It very rarely happens. So I can appreciate that, because I was not here. Like, this game doesn't scream, oh, I want this game to punish me. So I'm happy that it was the way it was, and was overall fairly frictionless, as the blob is. Telekinesis is also a thing that you can do. There's like some green platforms where the blob, this one makes more sense, I suppose. It is an alien, like sentient being. So to be able to move platforms that are green, they just so happen to be green in the game, you can like solve different puzzles where you're trying to get some of the stuff that you're trying to suck up, for example, the food or whatever you want to call it, to grow. You can move platforms, and maybe there's multiple platforms that you have to bounce between and get all the food to come down to you where you're at, or you have to get up to the food to consume it. So very cool, fun things you do in that way. For much of the game, with the whole eat 'em up section, there's like a goal size that you're supposed to get to, and then you consume what seems like a cork or something. You walk over, you roll over to the cork after you're done consuming enough, and you get to that size, and then you move on, right? And then you can go and play in the rest of the level. Much of what this game is trying to do outside of just eating stuff is get a high score. Like, that's really the whole point of this game specifically. I always have to remind myself what the name of it is because it is so long. Tales from Space, Mutant Blobs Attack. So, yeah, I mean, the kind of the overarching goal of this game is to eventually get as high of a score as possible. You get medals as you go through the game. So you can get a bronze medal, a silver medal, or a gold medal by the time you finish. Of course, it's a PS3 game. Trophies were all the craze back then. Still are, but that's where it started. So there are trophies linked to getting golds in every single stage. There are trophies linked to you can find like blob buddies, right? Usually in most stages there are 2 blob friends, which basically act as collectibles, where you can try to get to them, platform over to them. It's usually much more difficult, or not much more, but slightly more difficult to get to them than the rest of the level, or you have to have a keen eye because they're hidden away where you might not look. And you can go and rescue them, and then that gives you if you get enough of them throughout the game and you like basically collect all of them at every single level, you get an achievement saying, oh, you got them all, right? I haven't done some of that stuff yet. Honestly, I do want to go back, but for anybody out there that's super achievement hunters, specifically PlayStation hunters, there is no platinum for this game. I don't know if that was intentional or whatever, but no plat for this game specifically. You can obviously still get 100% though, but I guess some high level stuff here. The level structure, you start in a college dorm, very small, and as you go, you eventually like go to the moon, and then you come back to Earth, and you're like in an army base. But it doesn't really matter where you're at. You just select a general zone or world, and there are 4 levels or 4 to 5 levels in each one that you complete. Once you complete it, you move on to the next one, and you do the same thing. One thing that I was very surprised about this game was there are gyro controls, which are very fun. Mm-hmm. There are specific levels in every world, or whatever you want to call it, where with the PS5 controller, at least, I have to kind of tilt and move it, and the blob, it's like top down, the blob moves with me, right? So wherever I want it to go, think like the top down Sonic bonus levels or something like that. That's kind of the feeling, except for it's gyro controlled. So pretty cool. I mean, kind of unique, even by today's standard. Pretty unique touch that you don't really see a whole lot. So I enjoyed those sections for sure. Any other questions before I inevitably put it on the quest log here? Because I think that's about everything for this game.
I think for me, first off, shout out to Drinkbox, the Canadian developer. You can see CN Tower on the screenshots here. You can see Toronto. So that's pretty cool. So, presumably you said you start off small in the first level, you're big by the last level. How big do you grow sort of within the level? Like, is there sort of a noticeable difference with going back in that same level and starting to eat up things you passed on the first little bit of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does that fairly, especially towards the end. So kind of what happens as you're going is you notice that you're getting bigger to the point where you're actually taking up more screen real estate. But then once you hit a goal, usually what happens is the screen zooms out. So then you look kind of the same size as when you first started, but everything around you looks much smaller. So it does give you that Katamari feel, right, where you feel like I am getting bigger. I feel like I'm getting bigger. I feel like I'm getting more powerful. Like I was avoiding rockets that were being shot at me at the beginning from tanks and from helicopters, and now I could not give 2 shits, right, about these things hitting me because I'm about to just take them all out and get my health all back, right? You feel powerful towards the end where you didn't at the beginning.
And how do you know what you can absorb? Like, how do you know when you're big enough to like eat a tank?
Yeah, so usually once you start rolling into an object that's clear, it's moves, right? So you know it's going to be able to be eaten eventually. Usually at the beginning, you're like, okay, I roll into about everything. But then eventually you get to a point in the game where you might roll over something and it like flashes yellow or green. I can't remember exactly, but it flashes something pretty subtly. Like, oh, okay, that's something that I can eventually consume, but can't consume right now. So I'll have to get bigger, come back. And to your point, Dean, like how the world gets bigger, especially in the last few levels, you can like see the very small area that you treaded before, and now all of a sudden there's zero chance you could even fit in there. Right, you're that much bigger, and so it feels very cool. It's like I could consume this entire area if I wanted to, right? And then not to spoil anything, but eventually you get to a point where you're kind of doing that, right?
Nice.
So.
Just one question. So this is their first game ever, right? This is the first Drinkbox game?
It is,
I think, right?
It is the sequel to the first Drinkbox game.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember what the original... It's another Blob game that came out, I think, a couple years prior.
Yeah, it looks like
but I cannot
2011.
remember what the name
About
was.
a Blob, it says.
About a Blob.
About a Blob.
Yep.
Interestingly, About a Blob is not on Steam. That must have just only been on the PlayStation Store. So that might be one that's going to go away when the PlayStation 3 store eventually goes away.
You heard it here. Go buy it, because that means I'll have to go look into it too, because this game, I can tell you without even reaching the verdict, it's good enough to check out the prequel. So
Cool. Awesome.
Okay. Without any further questions, I will go ahead and put it on the quest log. So I'm going to be honest, this one was pretty tough for me to pick a place where this would go. It kind of reminds me a little bit about what Steve was saying about Froggy's battle, in that it's like I can't really poke a whole lot of holes in it. It's just a fun game. The only thing I will say that I think that holds it back a little bit, and inevitably will put it where I chose, is that you can feel that it is of a time. It feels 13 years old. So, and it doesn't like detract from what it's trying to do. Like, the gameplay still holds up. But Drinkbox has done, even in Guacamelee, which only came out the next year, it just feels kind of light years in the future. And then what they're doing now, it pales in comparison. So, for this game specifically, Tales from Space, Mutant Blobs Attack, I am going to put it on the side quest. But it is a very, very high-end side quest, and one that I would recommend to about anyone. I think that even a 9-year-old would have a good time playing this game. It's fun. It's a good platformer and not overly challenging. Also, took me 2 to 3 hours to beat. It's not long.
Yeah, I've recommended this game to multiple people, because anytime someone asks me, like, what's a good game I could play on my Vita? You know, my brain starts churning, because a lot of what's on the Vita is like RPGs, visual novels, like long, meaty stuff, or it's been ported elsewhere. And no, this has been ported elsewhere. But I always say, like, if you just want a couple hours of fun, just kind of like dumb fun, play Mutant Blobs Attack, because it'll satisfy. And I actually give a lot of the same caveats where I'm like, just so you know, going in, you know, the sense of humor is maybe a little 2012. You know, it has a little, like, Icon has cheeseburger era energy to the sense of humor.
Yeah.
And I do agree that it feels of a time, like, not insultingly. I just think that the bar for an indie release in 2012 versus the bar in 2025 are such wildly different things. Like, expectations are so much higher now that someone might look at Mutant Blobs Attack and think of it as, like, maybe even looking mildly amateurish. And I don't really mean that insultingly. I just mean that, like, that's sort of how the design sensibilities of that time have aged. But all the same, it's just good fun. It's just, like, simple, satisfying, good fun. So it's totally worth checking out.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, it looks like I'm bringing a game today. Let's just jump right into it. It is a 2025 game. It is... I'm working my way through those 2025 games for sure.
You are.
You guys want to guess what it is? It came out in April.
Boy.
April 2025. Give me, like, let us know, like, maybe loose genre or some nudge.
Narrative with a nice art style. Maybe puzzly.
Is it the date?
You might not get it.
Date everything?
No.
I don't know if that came out in April. Sounds like about the time.
I don't know.
Narrative.
Did I play it?
No, I don't know if you guys know this game or not. I'll just say it. It's called Koira. You heard of it?
Koira?
Koira. Koira. Might be a little bit too obscure. That you guys probably haven't heard of it. Yeah, but you've probably seen the gameplay.
I do.
I have.
Right.
Yeah, this little dog. Yeah.
It looks adorable, first of all, speaking purely of the game, and then a tangent. This is just an observation from editing the last episode, Josh. I think this is the second game in a row that you brought from April Fool's Day. I think your last game was also April Fool's Day.
This year?
Dang.
Yes.
Yeah. Was that Haste?
Haste.
Yeah, Haste came out the same day as this
Yep,
one.
yep.
Yeah. Oh, he knew. I didn't even know that. Interesting. All right, so let's describe Koira a little bit. It's basically we'll start with the art style because it's the first thing you're going to see. It's a top-down exploration game. It has. It's hard to describe the art style. I say maybe painterly would be a good description. A lot of the main character is like it doesn't really say if it's like a bear or what. It's some type of anthropomorphic animal in a silhouette shape with white eyes, kind of like Looney Tunes. If they get stuck in like a cave, you see the white eyes sticking out. It's very similar to that vibe. And then you start out, you're in this forest, this mysterious forest. You walk over and there's a dog, and you talk to the dog. Hey, we're going to go home. And the whole goal is to solve environmental puzzles and make your way home. So it's a very simple story in this game. What you'll find on each area, it doesn't have like a level structure. It's very narrative and story focused. You will start going each area. So you'll explore the environment, find little environmental puzzles. Usually there is like a totem statue that you have that will have 3 different like note symbols above its head. And then you're just exploring the area, trying to figure out how to sing these note symbols to the statue to open up like a gate or like move a fence or wake up, or the dog might be scared because of something that happened in the environment. And you're like trying to soothe the dog and then move on to the next area. So we'll say it's a musical adventure. There's musical elements to it, like I said. So say there are 3 birds that are around the environment. You're kind of just trying to explore and find these birds to get these 3 song patterns. And then when you get these 3 song patterns, you talk to the statue. The statue will glow really bright, and then a new area will be exposed, and then you just move on with the stage. And it's basically a lot of that in this game. It's very simple puzzles, very, very easy, I'll say. Nothing too complicated, nothing that you're going to be scratching your head at. Do you want to keep moving on, or was Steve gone? Okay. He'll join back. Yeah. He'll be back. All right. Let's see. Power's flickering. Okay. No big deal.
Simple puzzles.
Just getting my train of thought back.
Yeah, you were talking.
Simple puzzles, yeah. All right, cool. And a lot of this game I've really realized was just an excuse to kind of be in a beautiful environment. A lot of it is you're just kind of exploring with your dog friend. You're trying to find a new area. There are enemies in the game. They're hunters. They're kind of like cloaked hunters, very just like overcoat, peacoat, same art style with the silhouettes, and then they have shotguns that you kind of have to like stealth around, go inside bushes and things like that. And the stealth elements are really simple as well. It's very much you're trying to get the dog to because if the dog's in a bush, it kind of shakes the bush, right? So if you have the dog follow you, which is one of the buttons, you kind of like usher him along with you, like, hey, come here, buddy, and the dog will be in that bush, kind of shake it up, and then the hunter will be interested in the dog there, and then you go, all right, let me go around the hunter. Dog, come on, let's go. And then you just run and bolt away, It
reminds me.
They're very simple.
You're explaining that reminds me a bit of like Planet of Lana and some of the things you're doing with Mui in that game, right? Like, oh, Mui, go over there to distract, and then you, as Lana, you go to the other side, right? That kind of stealth.
Yeah, and it's in a top-down perspective. It honestly, the art style, the more I thinking about it sitting here, it reminds me a lot of Crypt Custodian.
It does.
It has that like it's kind of like flat with a little bit of like tonal, like like hand-painted look to it, and then it has like the main characters that are kind of like, and not maybe like Flash, not in a derogatory way, but kind of like stiff and kind of move like that.
It was giving me Night in the Woods vibes a little bit.
Me too, same.
Yeah, a little bit of that too. Yeah. So that's pretty much what the main story structure of this. So you'll go to a new area. The art style might be a little bit of different color palette. Maybe it'll be snowy in this area, or it's fall time. Kind of has that Neva feeling where like each area is a new season. It's not strictly saying that's a new season, but you can kind of feel it and sense it when you go to the new area. And you'll do the puzzles in the environment, kind of make your way through it. There's usually like some inciting factor, like there's hunters you need to get away from, or there's boars with 3 kids that you need to help save these boars, stuff like that. And then at the end, there will be like a nice calming moment where you sit there with your dog. You watch the clouds, or you're like on a gondola, or there's some kind of nice little cutscene in between the stages. And then you go to the next stage and then you move your way through it. Our art style is great. Obviously, it's really easy to throw this on a GIF and be like, oh yeah, this is a great looking game. The story is simple, but the music is really beautiful and really adds a lot to it. It's a lot of piano harmonies, a lot of nice orchestration. It's just, I think this must come from like an art school. I couldn't really find much information about the studio, but Don't Nod published it. But Studio Tolima, I'm pretty sure it's the art school students that made this game, and it really shines from that respect. It's beautiful and it has such a great presentation. I feel like coming away from this game, though, I'm not going to say this story crushed me and I was crying like Dean was saying with Ori or anything, but I will say like it was nice, it was cute, like you feel good playing it. It's a nice feel good playing game with not a lot of mechanical depth, I would say. Any questions so far?
So all of these screenshots look like perfectly centered with like exits and entrances. Is this side scrolling, or are these like just frames that you walk between, and sort of how big are the puzzle areas that you're solving the puzzles in?
Good questions. It's top down, similar to like the Zelda, like that style. Imagine like you're walking top to bottom on the screen. It's not just side scrolling, so it's kind of hard to see in screenshots and without actually playing the game because of the way the art style is. So I could definitely see how you would think it is a side scroller just from the look of it. The areas aren't super big. I would say you can probably walk, like when you're in an area or a zone where you're trying to solve these like note pattern puzzles, it's probably 2 minutes to walk from one side to the other. Okay. If that. It's very small areas. And then a lot of times it's very simple. Like I keep using the birds because they use the birds a couple times for different puzzles, but you'll see like little lines indicating there's birds this direction. Okay, so maybe I should go that way. And as you go that way, the dog will use its like light up nose to reveal new paths in that area. And then you can like use a stick to knock the bird out of the tree, and the bird will like hum the tune, and the tune will literally pop out of the bird, and you collect it like a collectible. And when you get all 3 collectibles, you basically solve that area, and then you move on to the next one. So
it's a very pretty looking game.
Yeah, very stunning. This is one of those ones where I wanted to play it just because of how beautiful it is. Like you watch the gameplay, it's like, man, looks nice to be in this world. And I think they really pull it off. Like the art style is just stunning. Like that is the number one reason I would say if you're watching some gameplay for this and it's looking interesting to you because of the art style, maybe check it out just for that. I'm going to say that the game itself isn't very challenging. I feel like anybody can play it. Like, you can bring this to a kid's house and the kids will have a great time with it because it's a cute dog. It's a very simple game, not very hard to figure out. But to me, it's not too easy where it's like, okay, I'm bored playing it, but it's just simple enough and fun enough to where you have like 3 hours of gameplay here, maybe 4 if you're explorer a little bit more, and you're going to have a good time with it.
You might have mentioned this, Josh. Is this only on PC currently?
I think so. Okay. I didn't see it on any other platforms.
This seems like it
Googling.
It would feel at home on a console of some kind, but that's
like a Switch at least, right? Like, like handheld, quick little sessions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not even on Switch yet. Maybe it'll move to console eventually, but yeah, for now it's on PC only. So
I hope it does move to console because it's one of those games that feels like it deserves a wider audience, right? Like, you want your kids, like lots of kids don't have PCs that are capable of running stuff like this, So it's like, put it on PlayStation or Switch or something. But
seems like
it's very much good.
It seems like a great game for the winter time. It's got like a good, nice, cold, comfy energy. This is like a hot cocoa in the middle of December with the snow pattering against the window type of game. So, they've got 4 months or so to get it ported to some other systems before I'm going to need to get around to it.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, honestly, that's perfect. That's a good way to like summarize this game. It's a nice game to... You want to just play something cozy, something you don't really have to focus too hard on, but you're going to really enjoy being in that world and enjoy the art and the music. The music's very, very beautiful. Like, it's one of those scores, like, you're surprised it's so good for how small of a game it is. It's like, it just sounds way bigger than the scope of the game even is. But it really adds a lot to this really just awesome hand-drawn animation and art style. So, when I was playing this game, I was like, I'm enjoying it. It just didn't really like give me that little something extra oomph to push it over to a main quest. So I'm going to put this one on a side quest, but it's a very cozy side quest. This is one like Steve was saying, you have a nice winter night. You have 3 to 4 hours that you just kind of want to kill with something cozy, and then maybe something else is going on in the background, but you just want to enjoy some beautiful art and a very simple and just it's just a game that makes you feel good. So definitely one to put on your backlog if that's something that interests you. So yeah, Koira, Koira, is a side quest.
Awesome.
Heck yeah.
All right, well, let's run through all the games we brought today before we do some last things here for the show today. We had Froggy's Battle, which surprisingly, coming from Steve, was surprisingly a main quest, which as soon as you mentioned that game, I was like, that's a side quest, but you completely sold it as a main quest. That's awesome. And then we got Battleship Brigade from Dean, our guest today, which was a nice, cozy side quest with maybe it could be a main quest for you if the genre, grabs you. And then we got Tales from Space, Mutant Blobs Attack from Seth, which is a side quest as well. And then we got Koira from me, which is the side quest. We've got a lot of side quests today, but that's not a bad thing. Like Steve was saying earlier, that list has some bangers on it still.
Oh, absolutely.
Check it out.
For sure.
Absolutely.
So we do have some campfire chat submissions today. Who wants to read them?
I'll take the first one. It says, hey, they get to their name at the end. I'm not just skipping their name. Says, don't feel too bad, Josh. I, too, didn't love Blueprints. I fell off after double-digit hours. It's a cool concept, but was too slow for me, or more likely, I'm too slow for it. Go, Hobo, go. Go, Hobo, go. Thanks, as always, for writing in. I am curious, before I roast Josh. Dean, have you had the chance to check out Blueprints, or has this one missed you so far?
No, this one was on the list for this year. I just haven't got around to it.
I'll be curious to know what you think when you land on it, because so far it seems like all the smartest co-hosts really like it, and all the best looking co-hosts don't like it. So we're kind of self-selecting, and I'm curious where you'll fall as an intelligent and handsome
I'll
man.
probably be right in the middle.
There you go.
I think that's fair. But hey, go Hobo Go, you put in double digits, all right? No one can blame you for giving it the old college try. Those are big boy numbers. I think you could play maybe not Battle Chef Brigade, but you could play the other 3 games that we brought to the show today in less time than you put into Blueprints before deciding it wasn't for you. So good stuff.
For sure. All right, I'll take this Spotify comment.
I was gonna kick it to Dean.
I
was gonna kick it to Dean.
Oh, Dean.
I thought you were gonna say, Seth, you want to read that? I would be like, Dean can read it. He's a reader. He's a book guy.
Sure. This one's from Paliona. Tunic mentioned, really fun episode to listen to. If I had to choose 4 indies to represent myself, I'd probably choose Tunic, Spirit and the Mouse, Wobble Dogs, and Deep Rock Galactic. I primarily value games with colorful and stylish art that prioritize exploration, with co-op being a big draw as well. Animals are also a top priority.
I have been meaning to get around to Spirit and the Mouse for a minute. So I've really never heard it mentioned a whole lot outside of just discovering it. So I kind of love the fact that it was mentioned here. So maybe sooner rather than later it'll be talked about on an IndieQuest.
This is one of those things. I had never heard of Wobble Dogs.
Neither
Had
have
any
I.
of you heard of Wobble
No.
Dogs?
Sounds made up.
Yeah, I have.
Okay. Okay. Of any of us, I would have guessed that you, Josh, had heard of it. I looked it up and I'm like, what is this game? You know, color overload seems very goofy, very silly. And then I look over 11,000 ratings, overwhelmingly positive. Like, this game is just hiding in plain sight. I swear to God, I've never heard of this game in my life. And yet here it is, just remarkably successful.
Oh, what
That's
in the
impressive.
My Little Pony is this? When you said colors, I was like, okay, colors. No, this is like every bright color you've ever seen. On the
It's
screen
almost
almost.
Lisa Frank-esque.
Yeah,
Yes.
seriously. Oh, that's funny.
Interesting.
It looks so
Paleona,
interesting.
thank you.
I've seen. Yeah, it's one of those ones I've seen a million times. I haven't tried it yet. It's like, it definitely should give it a go. It just looks insane. Like, the colors are just like eye-piercing. And with quotation marks, like, respectfully, like eye-piercing,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And that was a comment on episode 100, our indie game Mount Rushmore. So if anybody was curious on like our top 4 like games that kind of define our indie game tastes, you can go back and listen to that episode. All right, so we're doing something a little different here for this little closer. Before we close out the show today, we played a game not that long ago called Indie Feudy, where we had to do 2 rounds of it, and then Seth ended up winning, and then he chose to do second opinion episodes, but we assign each other games. Yeah. So we're going to do that now, but Seth, do you want to describe how this is going to work?
Sure. So initially my thought was, so like Josh mentioned, he said that either whoever won, be it Steve or myself, could choose to have come up with an episode topic that we could do, right? So I think that a second opinion had been done somewhat recently, so that was like top of mind for me. And, you know, I decided, like, we go back and we look through and we pick a game, but what if we pick a game for each other? And I think that an episode type that Steve and Josh used to do was like, was it Pile of Shame? Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Where we had like a list of like games that we should have played, but we haven't got around to, and then we would assign each other the games. Yeah.
So it's kind of a combo between Second Opinion and Pile of Shame, where we go back and we look through the games that we've played. And personally, like, I'll explain a little bit about what I did as an example of going into this. I chose games that I have played that are Josh coded in a certain way or Steve coded in a certain way. Specifically for the 3 that I chose for Josh, well, yeah, I guess I should mention that part, right? I don't even know if we've talked about that. Each of us have selected 3 games for each other. So we're going to say, I'm going to say, Josh, here are the 3 games that I've picked for you, or, and we'll get to that part, or these are the 3 games that I picked for Steve. And then of those 3 games, that other host gets to pick one of them. You don't have to play all 3, right? Eventually, hopefully, at least it kind of tells each other like these are games that I think that you would enjoy or that appeal to you in a certain way. So for my games for Josh, I picked 3 very Josh games, very cozy, very just the Joshiest Josh games that I could look at and find on my list. And those are the ones that I picked for Josh. For Steve, I think they are all very Steve games as well, but I cross-referenced them and made sure they were also PlayStation because
That was nice of you.
because I know that Steve is going on an adventure soon where he's trying to get a bunch of trophies and things with his friends. So that's what I attempted.
It sounds like we're going on a road trip.
it feels
It
that
is
way to
true,
me.
though. I'll still be bringing indies, but I am embarking on a 15-week team-based trophy competition. So
Yes.
I will be a little PlayStation heavy for a bit.
So that was my impetus. I assume we all had similar. I don't know if you guys want to say anything before Dean picks who's picking who or not. But
my logic was I tried to think of the other co-host and me as 2 sides of a Venn diagram, and then I tried to find something in the middle, So I wasn't necessarily going these are Josh coded, these are Seth coded, so much as I think that this is a game that we would both like. Maybe you didn't, gravitate towards it right away because it's more of a Steve thing, but I think you would get something out of it. So mine are kind of selfish, but it's almost like I'm trying to pull you into my corner in a way that I'm fairly confident the 2 of you would appreciate these.
Nice. And the way I do for everything else, I went with vibes a little bit, but for Steve, I kind of did zero in these games. I want you to play these games. And then for Seth, I wanted to these ones might be ones you may or may not like. They're a little more challenging for you.
Okay,
so
that's perfect.
That's why I was kind of thinking for you. So,
Okay.
but the difference today is we're going to have Dean pick who we get to assign games for, which is a fun little thing instead of just, flipping a coin or whatever, or having another competition. We're just going to have Dean pick for us. Make it easy.
Okay, so I'm picking who we're assigning games for.
Yeah, so you choose who assigns games to me, who do I assign games to. Basically build the triangle for us, the weapons triangle.
Got it. Okay,
Yes.
got it.
And then eventually we will go the other way. So it really doesn't matter all that much. We will do 2 episodes where we then eventually turn the triangle around. So if I pick for Josh this time, at some point in the future, I will then pick for Steve, right? So, but it's a matter of we have Dean on, and Dean gets to pound that hammer and pick who goes first.
Okay. So, as a former trophy chaser myself, I think it's admirable that, Seth, you picked some games for Steve that are trophy-based, or at least PlayStation-based. So, why don't you pick the games for Steve?
Okay. So then Steve will pick for Josh, and Josh will pick for me.
Josh, there we go. You
Okay. Yeah, I
didn't
did
have to pick between
Sounds good.
handsome or smart. Perfect.
Cool. All right.
Awesome.
Okay, who wants to go
you-
first then?
Yeah, you want to go first, Josh, and list what the 3 choices are for Seth?
Seth? Yeah, sure. All right. These are going to be kind of hopefully you want to play one of these. So I was kind of going all over the place with this one. So I wanted to pick something early, a game I brought really early in the quest log that you probably wouldn't have on your radar or probably would never play. So that is Lost Words Beyond the Page, which is a side scroller with a really cool story with a unique take on a storybook storyline.
Yes.
Really cool game.
And actually, I've gone back and started listening to some IQs from back then when I was, and I remember you talking about that one recently. So it'll be just a brush
And
up.
just to be completely honest with that one, I had that one on both your guys' list.
Oh.
Either way, because
right.
I was like, I want one. That was when I was like, I'm kind of curious. So, and then number 2, my indie game of the year last year, 1,000 Times Resist.
All right. That one.
Number 2.
Yes. All right. Cool.
Yep. That's just I know you haven't played it and we have,
Yes.
so that'd be nice to fill that one in.
Makes sense.
And then number 3 I have is kind of out of left field. It's a side quest game for me, but I know a lot of people really like this game and would probably put it on a main quest. So that was my impetus for this one, and it's El Paso Elsewhere.
Okay. Perfect. Those are
So it's kind of like a
you ran the gamut on that,
like-
man. Like those are all
Yeah.
very different
Yeah.
games. That feels good. Yes, that's a good selection.
Give you some variety to pick from.
Love it. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. I will. You'll find out. Everyone will find out on the next episode which one I chose and which one each of us chose. So I guess that kicks it over to me, and I'll mention the games that I chose for Steve. So like I said, these were all trophy focused, knowing where he's going for the next several months. And surprisingly, once I broke it down, so I will say a game that I left off. I'm just gonna say a game that I left off that was probably expected.
That's
But I did not want to influence Steve specifically to play this game previous to when he may want to. So I am not bringing Death's Door. That's my thing. Like, that's my favorite game of all time. I would ask anybody to play Death's Door, but I'm not going to be like, you should play it in a 2-week window and then tell me about it, because that's just, you know, when you're feeling it, play Death's Door. But I didn't want to bring it. I had it on my list, and I'm like, let's take it off. So,
I thought for sure that was going to be on there when I knew that you were giving me games. I was like, well, here comes Death's Door. Sign me up. But all right. I'm curious to see what they are then.
restraint. I had to restrain myself a little bit on that one. So I don't even know what order I want to go in for this. I'll start with, okay, so a couple of years ago now, I brought a game that I thought was really good. And I guess I will say, before I even list all these games, these are all side quests, which is kind of wild.
Wow.
But at the same time, all three are...
I mean, it's for Side Quest Steve. So,
yeah,
you know.
true. Good point. He'll
I'm
love
sorry. Who was the only one that put a main quest this episode? I couldn't remember who that was. So it's one of us. I forget the name. Anyways.
But these three side quests are side quests that I could almost feel like could have been main quests for me on a different day, right? So the first one here is a game that I remember Steve enjoying, and I think that I also saw in a pickups video once, and that is Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. Very fun.
Awesome choice.
Hack and slash, kind of Mega Man Zero type of game. Sega Genesis coded. So very cool. And a game that I know you'll enjoy. Second one, and this one is just going to check all the boxes because I know for a fact you have this one physical, and I know for a fact you want to play this one before the end of the year. That is Stories from Seoul, the Gun Dog. So, just a matter of if you want to play it or not. It's just, I'm giving you a layup. You're throwing it to the hoop. You just got to get that old alley-oop going if you want. And then the third one is a game that I covered maybe last year at some point. Just a cool top-down puzzler, and that is Carto. So there are the three games. All three
beautiful
have got that platinum to chase.
Three very different games here, too. Nice wide variety.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Very fun. We'll see when the episode comes what I picked. I actually don't know. I thought for sure I would confidently enter into this with a pick, but no. All right. Josh, buddy.
I'm ready.
I wrote 3 games, and I wrote your name above it, so...
I'm like furiously typing these into our docs so we don't forget to, just so you guys know they're there. So, anyway.
So remember, I said that I Venn diagrammed the two of you, and that is true, but I Venn diagrammed you both in different ways.
Okay.
Seth, for his games, I Venn diagrammed in like a finding a middle ground between our interests with a little bit of a bias towards things I think he already wanted to play. Josh, for you, I think of you as my brother in arms. I think of you as my hype man. And so
Let's go.
Yours, I leaned a little more towards games I just really like, and I want someone else to like too. And I think you stand a pretty good shot of being that guy for me. You might not like them as much as me, but every now and again, we line up on an Outer Wilds or on an 1,000 Times Resist, and it's like, oh, my guy. So, first one, and I at least one of these I know you've actually played a little bit, but you've never finished. So this would be an opportunity to finish. I actually have no idea what your history with this one is, though. Game that I really love, Hyper Light Drifter.
It's one of those ones that was like a PS Plus, and then you just you jump in, you're like, oh, this is cool. Play 30 minutes, and then just like forget about it. That's literally where I'm at with that one. One that's a huge backlog hole too. So
I feel like
I know how awesome that game is.
That is the trouble I ran into picking for games for you specifically, Josh. 'Cause I'm like, I bet that Josh played a demo or 30 minutes of almost every game that I could pick. It seems like you always dabble in everything just to get a taste. And it's like, man, did he like that taste though? That's where it's tough.
Yeah, I know. I'm bad about that. It's like you have access to all these, like, I do, at least I usually have PS Plus, a Game Pass, or like Humble Bundles with like 10 games in it. So I just amass games, and I'm like, well, I'm kind of bored tonight. What do I want to do? Oh, let's just jump into 30 minutes of 5 games. I do that sometimes. So I know that's a challenge for me for sure.
Awesome. My second one here, this is a game that you know that I love, and I know you've heard a lot of hype around. You've heard me talk up a lot, and I think you would get into it if you put the time in. Ultros.
Ooh,
I own this one. I own both of these, and I just haven't started it.
I knew that you had picked this one up recently. Great music. I will say in your defense too on this one, we're assigning each other games, which means that we're being like a little bit less time considerate. Ultros is a pretty meaty game. If you didn't have time to play through the whole game, we could still talk your opinions when we got around to it next, right? Like, I didn't want to restrict my list just down to like only like 5 hour and less games, because I want you to play some cool stuff, and it gets it hooked in you, or maybe it doesn't, and at least you can come back and give that opinion.
How long did that one take you? Because on How Long to Beat, it says about 11 hours. I feel like that's undershooting it a bit.
I would say it's like 15 main path, but it's one of those that like you can double that if you want to keep going. So
okay,
you could,
Sounds
if you like, if you have 2 free weeks coming up here, you could get through it no problem. But also, like, I understand if you don't. But all the same, check out Ultros. Okay. And then my last pick for you. Now, you played about an hour of this game. I was creeping on the Steam profile, and you dipped out, so I'm a little worried. Did you not like what you played here? But I wanted to see you go the distance on Pseudo Regalia.
Oh.
Perfect Steam Deck game for you.
I never know how to spell this game, but yeah, okay. I'm trying.
Starts with a P.
Anyway, it's not one that I disliked or anything. It's just another one of those. It's just on the pile of games I tried for a while and didn't go back to. So, I've been working on that this year. I've been trying not to start too many things, but it's a bad habit for sure. But hey, sometimes somebody's hyping up a game, and I'm like, I just got to see what this is. Yeah. I want to get some thumbs on the sticks, at least so I can say, hey, I played 30 minutes of that. And I was like, oh yeah, it plays great, but I never like get to the credits or anything on those. So I like those. I don't know which one I'm going to play, but I guess everybody will find out next time.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what you think. I tried to pick games that I didn't think you were already destined to play.
These all seem like bangers, though. Like these ones are like, I know Steve likes these games. These ones are like on your pantheon. They're going to be on your top 10 lists.
They are, and it's funny. One of the reasons I picked Pseudo Regalia is I side quested that game despite the fact that I like it. One of my biggest complaints is that it really needed a map and didn't have one, and they have, since I brought it to the show, added a map into the game. Somewhat, cool. I think somewhat reluctantly. The dev didn't want to, but like they got overwhelming feedback that I need a map, and so there is a map in there now, if I recall correctly. And so you might have a much smoother experience with it than I did.
Man, what if somebody just surprised everybody and just played all 3 of their games? That would be kind of fun.
That would be kind of fun.
That'd be pretty sick. Awesome.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our show. Dean, thanks for hanging out with us. Why don't you plug everything that you do on the internet once more?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. First of all, this was a ton of fun. Love talking indie games, and I can't think of a better crew than you guys to do that with. No. Again, Dean, I run the videogamelibrary.org. I would say if there's one thing you should do to sort of make things easily digestible for you, it's sign up for the free newsletter. Comes out every week, gives you a full breakdown of every piece of video game literature news, from announcements and releases across the board in all sorts of languages. It has interviews every week with members of the community. It's got some fun dig ups from the archives and book reviews and some behind the scenes stuff. There's a ton of content there for free every week. So sign up for that and you'll be able to stay on top of everything. And go check out the Cartridge Club podcast as well, and the rest of the Polymedia podcasts. They are all amazing. This one is clearly the best, but the rest are also good.
We won't tell Trav you said that. Yeah, so.
He never listens this far.
Yeah, he's long gone.
I'll second everything Dean said, and I'll say another shout out to the Cartridge Club. I think that this show's form, a lot of us come from the Cartridge Club or adjacent to Cartridge Club, and this show's format owes itself a lot in part to what Cartridge Club does. So, long-standing, great show and group of folks.
I mean, fun fact: the show started originally. The nugget of the idea for the show was an Indie Game of the Month show because of the Cartridge Club, and then it turned into IndieQuest. So. That's cool, you know. You want to hear some that show still continues going. I host there once in a while, once in a blue moon. So definitely check it out.
Heck yeah!
All right, if you want to find our show, you can find us on Blue Sky at IndieQuest Pod. You can send us emails like you heard today. Well, actually, you didn't hear any emails today, but we'll get to that in a second. You can send us emails if you want to leave a little bit more of a meaty comment. You know, tell us how awesome these games are, if you've played any of these, or if you have any recommendations. IndieQuestPod@gmail.com, or you can send us a text message like our buddy Go Hobo Go loves to do. Just send us a text, say, hey, I listened and you guys were funny on this part, and we'll probably read it on the show because that's how we are. And then of course, I think that's everywhere you can find us. Okay. Steve, where can they find you on the internet?
Twitch and Blue Sky is Blinkoom. What about you, Seth?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Captain Drachma, and of course in the Polymedia Discord, best place on the internet. If you want to get in the Discord, head on over to Patreon, search up Polymedia, and get into that first tier that will allow you into the Discord and come and chat with all of us. Dean is in there too, and he will also chat with you. Josh, where can they find you?
You can find me at Josh Leslie on Blue Sky, and listen to my other podcast, The Monthly Mishap, which is my monthly entertainment show. I'm going to plug it a few times here. I won't bug you guys too much about it, but check that out. Also, one thing I want to mention about the Polymedia Discord is, like, I literally met, like, 18 of these people in person or something last weekend, and they're like the nicest people you're ever going to meet. Like, legitimately, like straight up the real ones out there. So if you want to talk to a bunch of the real ones, go check out that Discord. PolymediaNetwork.com has a bunch of podcasts too, so check all those out. You know them, you love them. I mean, I know Point and Drink just did their Pittsburgh episode, so where they were there on site doing their episode. So check that out. PolymediaNetwork.com. And then, I guess that's going to do it for our show today. Dean, why don't you close us out with some good parting words for the folks out there? Putting you on the spot.
On the spot. With an open heart and an empty stomach, I say unto you, in the words of my co-hosts, LA Cuisine.
Awesome.